2016 Duramax, and we're using an AUTEL scanner. Wanted to go over, there's your number there, MP808S. Like I said, AUTEL. So I wanted to go over how to program your injector flow identifier numbers into your trucks. So this one we got 8 brand new injectors for. I just want to give you guys some tips on a few things that if you're a beginner and this is your first day on planet Earth doing this stuff, these are the things that you need to know to get started. Okay, so first of all, throughout the video, this piece of paper is white. It's not going to be marked up like this. I marked this up for you guys so you can kind of understand a little bit better what's going on here before we jump into the video. So this sheet of paper represents your engine. This is your harmonic balancer, so that's the front of the engine. This is the flywheel, so that's the back of your engine where your transmission mates. All right, so basically this is a representation of your engine. If you're swapping out all 8 injectors, you're going to need to draw up a little chart or diagram like this. Okay, so basically as you're putting these injectors in, you're going to be getting the flow rate, okay, the flow rate numbers off of the top of your injector, which I'll show you a picture of what that flow rate number looks like. All right, so you can see it's just on top of the injector, and you'll notice at the beginning of the flow rate identifier there's a large number or letter at the beginning of each one. All right, so I've marked those large numbers or letters with a blue arrow on here. All right, so we'll go over those large numbers and letters in a minute here. All right, but let's understand a little bit better what this sheet of paper is. All right, so again, this is representing your engine. As you put your injectors in, each cylinder you drop them in, you need to put whatever flow identifier that injector has for that cylinder on a piece of paper and take a picture of it, okay? Because you're going to need the pictures later on if you have, you know, mislabeled, or if you got worn off parts of that number, the flow identifier. So write it down and take a picture of it. Now, again, understanding this sheet of paper. So as you can see here, I've got the cylinder numbers circled in red. All right, so this is not your firing order, this is your cylinder number. All right, so it's the same as a Chevy 350. So you got cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4, and so on. All right, so that's basically what this sheet of paper means. Like I said, in the video it's just blank, it's not marked up, but for the purpose of explaining to you guys, you know, what we're doing right off the bat here, I think this will help you guys understand the video a little bit better as we go along. So let's talk about the big numbers, or the big letters and numbers that are in front of the injector flow identifier. All right, so I'm going to put a screenshot up for you guys of the injector itself. At the very beginning of the flow identifier number, for example, right here, well, let's not do 2, let's do one that I have a good picture of. Let's do 3. So the X at the beginning of 3 is going to be a large X printed on the injector. So the X is not part of your flow identifier. Okay, so let's do another example here just in case that one's not clear. So cylinder 5 here, the 0, the big 0 at the beginning of the flow identifier is not part of the flow identifier. Okay, or in other words, you don't type this in when you're putting the flow identifier into the computer here. Okay, all right guys, so at the time of changing these injectors, I didn't realize that these were not part of your flow identifier. So for the video, I didn't have anything marked out, but now I know. So I just wanted to show you guys that all the blue arrows are marking the numbers and letters that are not part of the flow identifier. In other words, the large numbers and letters that are on the injector that are at the beginning of the flow identifier, okay? Another thing here, okay? This flow identifier, like I said, this is a 16 LML. The flow identifier is only going to be 10 characters long. At least every single injector that I've pulled and every single one that I've installed is 10 characters long. And again, that does not include the big numbers or letters at the beginning of the flow identifier, okay? So if we go through here, again, 5 is a good example. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 numbers, okay? Now, you go to type this in, you get out of range, right? So you're thinking, what on earth could be the problem? Well, it turns out you need 16 numbers and letters in your flow identifier number here, okay? So how do you do this? So basically, again, not including the first number or letter, just the 10 flow identifier numbers. You put all 10 of those in there, and then like I said, you need 16 characters. So you've got 10 already, so you got to add 6 zeros. So how this makes any sense, I have no idea, but it came with some extreme frustration and you know, trial and error, and looking at, you know, the old numbers in the scanner. Like I said, as you can see here, we'll stick with 5 here. So 5, if we look in the scanner on injector 5, okay, we got not 2 zeros, but a single 0 at the front of the number. And then again, if you count every single one of these numbers, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, okay? 16 characters. All right, guys, so now I want to talk about some kind of mistakes that I made so you guys can avoid making these mistakes. So the first one, super simple one, the first injector that I put in on cylinder 1 here, all right? If you look closely at this number here, I'm missing a 0 at the very beginning of the number. So again, the X is not included, as we talked about before in the video. The X is the large letter in this case before the flow identifier. If you look at this flow identifier number on the injector, it should be 060, not just a 6. So that's something real simple you can you know, check. Another thing, since the X is not included, count your numbers here. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So you, like I said before, your flow identifier should be 10 numbers and letters, all right, not including the large number or letter, right? So that's one simple thing, is don't leave out any numbers or letters. You get in a rush, sometimes that can happen. Again, to check this, count your numbers, make sure there's 10 there, all right? 10 numbers and letters. All right, so that's one of the mistakes you can make. The second one here, which I had an issue on both 8 and 2, and this is not really a mistake. This is more of like a, you know, kind of lack of knowledge, and also kind of it's on GM and, you know, and the way they write these numbers onto the injectors. So one issue you can have is that, for example, on 8 here, the bottom half of your numbers can be worn off if you have used injectors or reman injectors. So some of these, like if you have an F, for example, if this is an E, but it looks like an F, when you go to type it in, it's not going to work, right? So you have to kind of think outside of the box and say, okay, well, the bottom half's worn off. This could be an E or it could be an F, right? Number 2 here, had a few issues. So the lowercase b's, well, you can see I wrote this down as a lowercase b. This is actually a 6. All right. So that was the problem there. Again, if you type this in wrong, it won't go into the scanner. And I'll show you guys later in the video what happens when you type this in wrong. It says out of range and it doesn't take. All right. So I'll show you that, and then I'll also show you on the scanner what it looks like when it goes through. All right. So again, later in the video. Number 8, like I said, this F is supposed to be an E. And again, same thing with the B down here. It looked like a B, so I had it typed in as a lowercase b, but it's a 6. All right. And then the 5s and S's obviously look all the same. However, in every situation here, anything that looked like an S was a 5. All right. So I guess this is stuff that you just have to learn over years of experience. And this, again, is my first time doing this, so I had to learn it the hard way. Other numbers and letters that look the same, I mean, the ones look like L's. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Are zeros zeros, or are they the letter O? I mean, I don't know. So, again, if you type this stuff in wrong, basically you just get this out of range code. So again, you just got to think outside the box. If there's numbers and letters that look the same when they're typed out on a computer, you're going to have to try all kinds of different combinations, and eventually you will get it. So that's kind of like sad, but the true fact of the matter about installing these injectors when you're typing these numbers in. All right. So yeah, it takes a little trial and error. All right, now I want to show you guys on the scanner what happens when you type this in wrong, and then also what happens when you type it in correctly. All right, so first of all, I want to show you guys how this thing fires up. So obviously truck is off, key is all the way in the on position. All right, all the gauges are on, all that kind of thing. So on this particular scanner, you hold the button down. And again, we'll get to this situation once I get this thing fired up. But let's fire this up first. I'll show you that. So it takes a minute to connect, and then you see this screen. You got to click on it immediately, swipe up to open. It's going to flash a bunch of apps. Here we go. So you click on diagnostics. And GM, obviously, because this is a GMC. Your Chevys will also be GM. I always go to this automatic selection. This is for your VIN, so you can enter it manually, or you can just click read. I always click read just because it's easier. And then if it matches, click OK. All right, this all looks correct, so hit yes. Gonna run through a bunch of stuff, and then here's where things start to get goofy. Again, I don't know why AUTEL chose to set it up this way. I mean, once you know what you're doing, it's easy, but looking at this for the first time, it's like, what do I do? They really needed to make this a question. Does your vehicle have a passenger presence system? Or which presence system does your vehicle have? So basically what it's doing is it's asking you to pick on one of these two things. I don't know why, but it's not very clear. So it's a learning curve. Again, if you know, it's easy. If you don't, you're like scratching your head like, what do I do? Anyways, click on that. And then this doesn't matter too much for when you're programming your injectors. So, really none of these options matter a whole lot. I don't even know what half that stuff is. But anyways, you finally get to this screen here, the main menu screen. So you got diagnosis, hot functions, and vehicle profile. So you're going to click on hot functions. Again, it's going to ask you a bunch of questions, which doesn't really matter. All right, so now we're going to go into Injector, engine control module. and then we're going to go into injector flow rate programming, because that's what obviously this video is all about. All right, so here we are. Basically, this is how you get to your injector flow rate programming. Now, like I said, I wanted to show you guys cylinder number 8. The injector that's in there has this flow rate code on it, and like I said, the bottom half was worn off. And then also we have B's or 6s, S's or 5s, and like I said, you know, now it all makes sense to me, but at the time trying to type this in and having 3 wrong characters, it was an absolute nightmare. So again, the main problem was this F was an E, this lowercase b is a 6, and then this S is a 5. So I'm just going to show you guys what happens really quickly when you type this in wrong. So in order to change the flow identifier code, you're going to click on the cylinder that you want to change it on. So if you're only swapping injector 8, you still need to do this. You need to go in here and go to cylinder 8, and it's going to run through this. Okay, and as you can see here, like I said, what I thought was an F on the injector is actually an E. And then this is a 6, not a B. And this is a 5, not an S, right? Okay, so what you're going to do to change this is hit edit. You're going to click in this box, and I just erase the whole thing, if it'll let me. So I'm going to erase it, and now I can type this whole thing in here. However, it probably already is in here. Yep, here we are. Like I said, I wholeheartedly typed it in there with an F, thinking it was an F, and it's an E. So if I click on this one that's got the F in it, we hit OK. Now we're changing from an E to an F. All right, so setting changes, right? So this is what you're changing it to. And then again, not very clear here. It doesn't say, take the number, insert this number, make this the new number. Basically, you just kind of have to guess, and right options is the key you want to click on. And this is what happens. It says test aborted, request out of range, which basically just means that this number with an F in it instead of an E is an unacceptable value. So you hit escape. Okay, now you can go back to injector 8 to try again. And like I said, this is where you got to think out of the box. Like, this 5 could be an S, the S could be a 5, this F could be an E. So when you type it in wrong, this is what happens. Now, again, same thing here. If you count all these zeros, you got 16 zeros there. You need 16 characters. So not including the first thing there, you got 10 characters here, and then you got to add 6 zeros. Again, like we talked about at the beginning of the video. So again, now we're going to edit this, and I'm going to show you guys what happens when you put this in here correctly. So again, you'd be manually typing this in and adding 6 zeros, but we've already got it in here, so I'm not going to type it out. I'm just going to click on the correct one. So in this situation, again, it's the one with the E is correct, and 6 and the 5. Okay, so we're going to click on that, double check it, and then hit OK. You're changing from the zeros that the scanner set it to, and you're putting this number in there. Again, the E, not the F. Okay, F is incorrect. And again, hit right options, and it's going to take you back to this screen. So again, this scanner forces you to kind of infer or guess what you're doing. I don't really like that. It should tell you this number was programmed in on this cylinder, and it should specifically show you. But instead, you got to scroll to the bottom, and you kind of have to like I said, use a little bit of your common sense, but it's difficult when it's your first time. So it's a learning curve. But here we are, 1814E650, blah, blah, blah. All right. Again, this is 16 characters here. Okay. So there you go. That's what it looks like when it's programmed in correctly, and it actually takes the code. If it says test out of range, something is wrong. So once you're to this screen, you hit continue, and it's going to take you back to all of your injectors here. All right. Another neat thing on this scanner, if you didn't know, you got to program your new injector flow rate codes into the ECM, but they also have to be programmed into the glow plug control module for whatever reason. So it's got this really neat feature where you can copy the injector flow identifiers from the ECM to the glow plug control module, okay, and vice versa. So if you program your injectors into the glow plug control module, you can copy those from the glow plug control module over to the ECM. But that's it, guys. I don't want to drag this video out too much longer. Those are the things I had issues with. I think this is a pretty comprehensive video, so if this helps you guys out, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with everybody you possibly can. I know that YouTube has a tendency to absolutely just bury videos that are useful, and it's the useless videos that are getting millions and millions of views. So blow this video up, please, guys. Please hit the like button, the subscribe, leave a comment, anything you can do, share the video, anything you can do to get this video out there, please. This is, a very frustrating thing. If I had a video like this to look at when I was dealing with this, it would have helped so much. So I hope this helps you guys out. Like I said, please get this video out there. Please hit that like button and comment and subscribe, everything you can do. Let's blow it up. Let's make sure other people can get some help from this video. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. And yeah, good luck with all your trucks and projects. Peace.